Hello, good evening. Happy Sunday, everyone. I know it's late at night. This is Christianah Adesida. Welcome to day 12 of my 30 days challenge. Okay, a challenge to call everyone to join in Hurricane Harvey relief efforts. I've been doing this since day one, and I've talked about several topics from the Hurricane Harvey itself and the devastations that it has caused in the city of Houston and its neighboring areas. And I've talked about a lot of things, so like the rescue missions that is going on the ground, and how we as individual can actually help support the dispersed people and animal on the ground. And today, day 12, I will be talking about how to help rebuild the infrastructures of Houston, Texas after the hurricane. And these, most of the things that I'll be putting out, we will apply to future hurricanes and future areas that are affected by hurricane of any category. So, basically, and also I'll be talking about different things like the most destructive features that we have actually seen in Texas since the hurricane started about 2.5 or 3 weeks ago. All right, let me get started again. All right, the topic for today is how to help rebuild infrastructures. So we're talking about the infrastructures in the state of Texas, specifically the city of Houston. How can we help rebuild the infrastructures out there? There's still a lot of people at the shelters. Some are being taken to the camp for further protections, and of course, we still have a lot of people still dispersed. Few people still missing, few animals are still missing. But let's focus about infrastructures, because part of rebuilding Houston, Texas after the hurricane is basically rebuilding their infrastructures, because the infrastructure is key to basically getting Houston back to what we call quote unquote normal. So so far the rescue operation in Houston and in nearby area has crossed any racial, ethnic, religious, gender boundaries, which is great. So this shows the capability that we have in the United States to actually come together and make things happen. We join ourselves together as fellow citizens to help each other, to help our nations, and this is one of the strengths that we have in this country. So, and we can see that has been displayed all over Houston's, people traveling. Hello, how are you? Hi, Marina, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Thank you for joining. Today I'm talking about how to actually help with rebuilding the infrastructures in Houston, Texas. So I'm going to get back to what I was talking about. I was talking about how we have all come together in the last 3 weeks to help rebuild that city and also its neighboring, city of Houston and its neighboring city. And rebuilding after hurricane, of course, going to take intense cooperations. It's not just going to be government official this time around, because the hurricane affected a lot of people. It doesn't just affect government officials or government buildings. It affects all the populations within that city limits. So that means it's gonna we're gonna need businesses to come together, private sector, public sectors to come together and actually join their resources and come up with strategy on how to actually help rebuild the city after the hurricane. All right, and as we can see that the most destructive features that actually happen in Houston is the water. So is Hurricane Harvey dumped over 50 inches of rain within the city limits. So, and their water table was damaged. The damage, everything they have, dealing with water has been damaged. Damaged. There has been contamination in water. There has been toxins that's been released into the water. So, everywhere you look, there's water damage. So that's the number one thing that needs to be taken care of in Texas. Although over the last few days the water has receded a little bit, but we have to look at it that it's still, the dampness is still going to be there and linger for a very long time. And another major thing that was damaged in Houston was the real estate. That happens across the cities. We've seen houses, businesses, factories all destroyed due to the hurricane. So all these has to be rebuilt. But that's just one part. Those are the two main destructive features that are obvious, that we all see every single day, that's being shown all over the news. The water and the real estate. So over like during the hurricane, they estimated that it's gonna cost about $200 billion to rebuild Houston, Texas. And looking at that number, that is huge. That is like double the cost of rebuilding after Hurricane Katrina. And according to Wired, it's like the hurricane that happened in Houston was like monumental. It's gonna takes a lot to rebuild. And what I mean by monumental is because that it is gonna take a lot of efforts. So coming together is critical in rebuilding the infrastructure, bridges, roads. There's a lot of road damages. So how can we start with the rebuilding process? And like I mentioned earlier, starting with the rebuilding process requires that all the government officials comes together. They have to basically overlook their political barrier and come together to actually rebuild. They have to help with the cleanup process, because the number one thing that's actually going to make that city look a little bit more bearable, to look at, is to clean up all the debris on the road, all the damages to the bridge. Before even fixing it, there's a lot of cleanup that needs to be done out there in Houston. So and I know a lot of people are returning back to their houses, to their homes. So, businesses are returning back to their facilities. So in case you are in Houston, Texas, and you're returning back and you need help with cleanup, which is going to be the number one thing that needs to be done before they even try to rebuild anything. If you need help with cleanup, you can actually call the cleanup helpline. Yes, they have a cleanup helpline out there, and the number is 1-800-451-1954. Let me make sure I have this right. Oh yes, it's 1-800-451-1954. That is, you can call this number and you can actually call them to come. Once you have all your stuff all packed up, they'll come down there and help you clean up. Or if you want to basically place on the cleanup list, you can call another number. Is the 844-965-1386. Let's say you call the cleanup helpline and it says they booked. Then you can you can ask to be placed on the waiting list by calling the second number, which is 844-965-1386. All right. Another way to start. Excuse me. Oh, I'm making a boo-boo here. Sorry about that. Another way to start rebuilding is to basically help support the Progressive Change Institute. So the Progressive Change Institute are actually out there. They're looking for people that are willing to make investments in rebuilding the infrastructure in Texas. Yeah, so if you're willing to make a major investment in rebuilding the infrastructures of the state of Texas, or specifically the city of Houston, you can actually call the Progressive Change Institute. I do not have the number to the Progressive Change Institute, but I know that when you Google their name, you can actually find a number. They have a website that you can go to as well to actually learn about them or to add your name to their list of investors. All right, I'm gonna move down here, and I want to talk a little bit. I'm all over today, so bear with me. Okay, so let me talk briefly about what other infrastructures do we need to rebuild apart from the water and the real estates that I've mentioned earlier. We need to rebuild the roads. Okay, I mentioned that earlier, the bridges, the dams. Do you know that according to the American Society of Civil Engineer, Engineer Infrastructure Report Card, the United States, as good as we think we are sometimes, these people actually saying that we receive a D plus in like our infrastructure level gauge. D plus. I mean, just imagine you're in college and you actually receive a D plus on your final exam. That's not good. So, but that's the rating that they have all our infrastructure rated as. That means a lot of our infrastructures, when we decide to build, we build a new project. And what happened is that the old infrastructures that we have, we don't have resources, or we never allocate resources to maintain them. And which is why when devastated situation like hurricane or disaster come in, we get hit really hard, really bad, because the infrastructure that we have in place, they're old and they're not being maintained. It's a shame. And right now we have over 15,460 dams that are actually considered high hazard in the United States. So God forbid, if any of these dams are in a hurricane prone area, of course we all know what's going to happen. The dam will not be able to withstand the water level, and kapooch, we will see the same thing that happened during Hurricane Katrina or during Harvey. So the call now is to let our government officials know, all civil engineers out there, that what can we do to start maintaining our resources, the infrastructure that we have in place, and building it in a way that is resilient enough to withstand disasters such as Hurricane Harvey or any other hurricane that might have actually come. So apart from the fact that we have poor ratings in maintaining our infrastructures, we need to do better. We need to do better in that. I put down there the needs need to happen fast too, because we are in the hurricane season. I know it's probably too late because we've seen all this hurricane one after the other coming through. So if we have poor maintained dams or infrastructures out there, we know that they probably get hit, and we have no choices. Then once they get hit and get really severely damaged, then we have to put our resources in rebuilding them. All right, another thing that we need to put more effort in doing better at is using our existing knowledge. We have not been doing that here in the United States, and based on what happened with Hurricane Harvey, and we can all see it, because we need to invest in institutions of our political, financial, and policy goals. We're not doing that. we're not reaching back to lesson learned and applying it to better suit us in the near future. This is part of building the infrastructures of the city of Houston and in Louisiana. A good example is what happens during the levee failure during Hurricane Katrina. All right, they talk about the levee failure was as a result that the water was too much. Hi Nadine, hi Tiara. Wow, how are you? All right. For those of you that are just joining me, I'm actually talking about how we can help rebuild the infrastructure in Houston, Texas, or after the hurricane period. And this can apply to any state that has been affected by hurricane right now. So I was just talking about the levee failure that happened during Hurricane Katrina. At first, they considered these a technical failure, but they've known about the levee for a very long time. They've known about the situations of the levee. But the fact that even though it was a levee failure, the failure was really institutional design process. That because the design was not corrected, was not destroyed to be strong enough, basically to withstand future disasters. I hope you understand. I know it might sound like gibberish, but bottom line, what I'm saying is that we need to do better and build a resilient infrastructures. All right. Okay. Yes, and we need to invest in resistance infrastructures and maintain them. The key word is maintaining them. Yeah, we have a lot of infrastructure. Like I said, we have over 15,460 dams in the United States. That's a lot. But these dams have not been maintained. So we need to do better in maintaining them. So we need to basically build based on resilience-based thinking, not just risk-based. Risk-based, yes, is just to suit one term or two term. But resilience is basically to fit present and future. That's how we need to start thinking when we're building all this infrastructure. And that's how we can actually help let people know how to basically think. Okay, what if we have a category 5 consistently in multiple states? Can we deal with it? So, anyway. Let's see. With respect enough. Okay. So what are the benefits of actually rebuilding the infrastructures? I want to touch that. I'm not going to go into more detail into that in that aspect, but I just want to highlight some of the benefits that stands out that are obvious. One is the invigorating of the private sector, booming of the private sectors. Yes, and also it's going to create jobs. Yeah, some say it's not really going to help increase the GDP because rebuilding Houston is going to require the government, the official, the private sector, the businesses to actually pour money into rebuilding it. So basically, it's not really going to have like a major impact in the economy during the rebuilding process. But at the same time, it's going to create jobs for those people that have no jobs right now that's been out of jobs. So that's one of the benefits. We have to look at the positive aspect of it. And it's going to help stabilize the economy a little bit. Because as things get bright, as hope is rebuilt in Houston, Texas, people's life gets stabilized, businesses get stabilized, and the economy gets stabilized as well. And also it can actually help people, because buying resources to rebuild will create income for the government in form of taxes, direct taxes, that they can actually utilize to slowly build up the city. So these are some of the benefits, and also a lot of employers that employ people that actually need a job. We actually have the benefit of tax write-off. So these are some of the benefits of rebuilding. But rebuilding takes everyone's effort. It takes everyone to come together and actually have one goal. And that one goal is to help clean up Texas and help rebuild as long as it might take. So this is all I have for you tonight. And one thing that I was reading an article on Wired today, and it was talking about how the major problem in rebuilding Houston would be the fact that there will not be enough construction workers to actually help rebuild the city. And you look at it, yes, because even without the hurricane, a lot of government officials, a lot of construction companies are complaining about not having enough workers, not being able to find enough people that can actually work in the construction industry. So now looking at Houston, Texas, or all other areas that have been affected by the hurricane with the damage in real estate, then we're going to really see the impact of not having enough labor market in the construction industry. So just want to share that with you. It's something to know and see, if you decide to go into, to go help out, the best place to help us is in the construction industry. So, good time for people that want to relocate to help with the building process or to get a job in the construction industry. I just want to put that out there. All right, that is all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me on day 12 on my 30 days challenge. Calling everyone to reunite and coming up ways to help rebuild Houston, Texas after Hurricane Harvey. And I know there's going to be more rebuilding to be done because I'm watching the news today in regards to what's going on in Florida. My heart goes out to everyone in Florida, and my prayer is with each and every one of them as well. So for all of you that are on the line with me tonight, please share this video and like it and spread it, tag anyone that you know in the area that can actually benefit from this knowledge and how to help rebuild the infrastructure in Houston, Texas. Thank you very much, and you all have a good night. Hello, Nadine. Queen Marie, here. Okay, I see you still there. Huh? Thank you. Thank you. Nadine, how are the children's doing? All right, it's good seeing you all. All right, y'all have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for my day 13 of the challenge. Take care, and God bless.